The NBA Finals are now over, and Ja Morant, for his second offense of just flashing a gunplay on Instagram, he has been suspended by the NBA for 25 games. Now, Ja initially accepted it. He's released a statement. I'll just read a tiny bit of it. I've had time to reflect, and I realize how much hurt I've caused. I want to apologize to the NBA, the Grizzlies, my teammates, and the city of Memphis, to Adam Silver, Zach Kleiman, and Robert Pera, who gave me the opportunity to be a professional athlete and have supported me. I'm sorry for the harm I've done. To the kids who look up to me, I'm sorry for failing you as a role model. I promise I'm going to be better. To all my sponsors, I'm going to be a better representation of our brands. And to all of my fans, I'm going to make it up to you. I promise. Now, a few hours after that, Rob, the NBA Players Association released their own statement saying that they were upset with the length of Ja's suspension. And he does have to, the NBA said he would have some things he would have to, show them some conditions he'd have to fulfill on his return. And the Players Association thought those were vague because we don't know what specifically those are. So it looks like the NBA Players Association will be appealing the length of the suspension. They said they would explore all options and next steps with Ja. So there it is, Rob. 25 games. NBPA thinks it's NBAPA, I should say, thinks it's too long. Ja seemed to think it was fine initially, but I don't know if he's in line with the Players Association or what. But your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he got off lighter than most thought. I thought it could have been a half season, only because it was the second offense after he went in to meet with the commissioner. After it was stressed to him how this just, as a role model and a representative of the league and the team, that's just not what they want to be associated with. Not that they told him that you couldn't own a gun if you have a license or anything like that, like to say that he was any different, but that just wasn't what they were hoping to see from their players and the representative of their league. So I just thought because of them having that meeting and him going down, I remember from the team, I thought he got a light suspension at the first one.
That one, remember, was 8 games, but he had served 5 before we even knew it was going to be 8. So it felt like only 3.
Right.
It really
know what I mean?
like
and then the other thing, too, is in that situation, there were other circumstances, Chris, that we had heard about even before the gun thing. Right. That kind of nothing happened. I'm not saying they're going to suspend you every time you get into an altercation, but the laser pointing at the Indiana Pacers team bus and the fight with
they investigated that and said they didn't find anything.
The high school kid, the fight, brandishing a gun during that scenario, at least that's what was reported.
Right.
I'm just saying there's just too many things going on that needs to be cleaned up. I'm hoping the guy straightens out. We'll see. If the first one didn't scare him a little bit, I'm not so sure that 25 games is going to change unless he changes. Because you would have thought after the first one, my God, right? Like, I need to make changes in my life. I need to go down. He went to Florida. I don't know, went to see. What was that? It wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
It wasn't rehab,
it
Chris,
just
but it
felt
was
too. Yeah, it was some sort of counseling. It felt
right?
Too quick.
It just didn't feel like anything could have gotten done in a counseling session that soon. But, I mean, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. And the NBA and the Players Association, I think that's just Player Association talk. They're never...
Unions have to represent.
They do, Chris, no matter what. They have to represent that's why they're there. We get that. They're always going to push back. Even players in baseball, they get into a fight, Chris, and it's a 3-game suspension, and they go to the commissioner and say, that's too much, because that's money. So then the commissioner drops a game off and it's 2 games. Do you know what I mean? Like that's natural. This is different. I don't see the league changing the number of games because I don't think it's excess. I don't. I think it's minimum at best, but I don't think it's like too much to where the league is going to cut it in half. Oh yeah, just 12 games. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I think the 25 games is fine. I don't think it's too little. Like you mentioned, there were rumblings that it might even be a whole season, but there were rumblings. Some people like you thought maybe a half a season.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been excessive. If 25 games and he's lost close to $50 million, he probably, almost assuredly, Rob, would have been on the All-NBA team. I actually still voted him third team All-NBA, but he didn't make it overall. That was $40 million right there. And then he will lose more than $7 million from this 25-game suspension, which, of course, is without pay. If none of this wakes him up, then I don't know that 50 games would have woken him up. Because clearly something's wrong with him if this 25-game suspension doesn't make him clean up his act. And so if he doesn't improve his behavior, then he just wants to be a toy gangster. I mean, really. And I don't think 50 games would have done it. So I think this is fine. And beyond that, you remember Miles Bridges probably a year ago had a felony domestic violence incident against one of the mothers of one of his children. And the pictures were horrendous. What he apparently did to her violently. And he got 30 games. If that seems a lot more heinous than what Ja did. And so 30 games for that, 25 for Ja under that, I think that's fine. And I think, Rob, you said it, me, I think everyone, and even including the NBA, Rob, what they most want is simply for Ja Morant to clean up his act. That's it. This is a punishment, but this is one of the future, if he does start to fly right, faces of the NBA. He is a fantastic player. He is not only great, but he is exciting. He's arguably the most exciting player in the league. And so they want him to, do the right thing, and they want what's best for him because it's best for the league. And so hopefully, man, he uses this time to get his act together. And Rob, I'm sorry. It's not much of a behavioral change to ask somebody to stop playing with guns. Particularly stop playing with them on social media. That's an easy fix. I'm sorry. And if you can't fix that, then you really do have something wrong with you. And so to me, this isn't, come on. Stop downing liquor in huge quantities on social media and stop playing with guns on social media or period. That's it. That's all you have to do, Ja. And so
nobody's telling you what you can do in your free time. It's about the broadcasting of it. I just don't understand that part, Chris. And we saw that with Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce had a good job at ESPN, was doing basketball stuff, right? And for whatever reason, he decided that he wanted to go on Instagram Live. That's his private life at his house, right? But once you open that up to other people and you work for a company or an organization, Chris, you open yourself up for people to say, that's not what we want to be associated with.
Yeah, look, Ja is wrong. I don't advocate the stuff he did.
No.
Paul Pierce, like you said, I don't advocate what he got fired for, what he was doing. But there are mixed messages in this society. On the one hand, we glorify young black men for rapping about this stuff and all that. And look, who you think Ja's following? We've talked about him setting an example for people that are following him. Well, who was his example? A lot of these rappers. And that's who he's trying to follow and be like, or, be like the image that they're portraying. So and Paul Pierce, I mean, look, our society is very licentious overall, and so he's not doing anything. I mean, I get it, what you're saying. I'm not going against what you're saying, but there are mixed messages being sent. The bottom line is the NBA can do what it wants to do. And if you want to play there, then you have to abide by their rules.
Right.
Yeah.
We know that. Right.
Yeah, Ja, like, we all pulling for him, man. And again, Rob, this isn't, come on. They just asking you to stop the foolishness.
What do you think? What do you think? Just your gut. Will this end it, or will there be another incident with Ja? Just your gut, and that we want to hear from people. Just your gut.
I think it'll end it.
Okay.
Because again, Rob, this ain't a big ask. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay.
And now, the other stuff, the behavior, like you said, threatening the high school kid allegedly with a gun, beating him up with his boy Devontae Pack, I think it was, his best friend. That's, again, not a hard ask either. Rob, come on. Not a hard ask. All right, so yeah, he got to clean it up. If he doesn't, then he wants to throw his career away, then that's his prerogative. But I do think he'll clean up. What about you? You don't think so?
No,
you got doubts?
I have doubts. I have doubts.
I just have doubts. What does that look like? Just another.
I just have doubts because I'm not so sure. I don't think he's of clear mind. That's why I have doubts. Because Chris, if he was of clear mind, the second incident would have never happened. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what makes me doubt it.
Then he's crazy.
I'm not gonna say that.
No. If he does it again, he's crazy.
Okay.
And he needs to get help. I don't think you need help to stop playing with guns on Instagram. Just stop doing it. Come on, let's stop babying everybody. Stop